as you see, we've now got a telephone pole out there and made the mid-air splice today, so the electricity is on that pole. The issue is, I called Dig Safe immediately as soon as that pole was setting in position so that we could try to get it mapped out here so we get this electrical issue straightened out. And now what's happened is Niagara Mohawk can't tell us where that gas line is because it's a plastic gas line. So I got a call on Monday concerning that. I've got a letter concerning that. Today I talked with them once again, and they are handling it down to a special operations to try to find this gas line so nobody can dig into this thing. In the meantime, we can't do any digging out there right now as far as that pole goes. So that's the hold up there. I've talked to Mr. Hazard. He's phoned them because they wanted to know exactly his plan and on how he was going to excavate to get this electrical line in. So I got Mr. Hazard involved. After all, he is the one that will be doing the actual excavation work. Our furnace is up and running. Thank God for that, because as we know, we were informed that that last one was on its last legs and no longer safe. So that's the reason for the new furnace.
Is that guy that Dowser still alive?
I'm sorry?
The Dowser.
Oh, you mean maybe we can find a gas pipe by Gallagher?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but that's up to them to handle, not us. We don't want to get involved in that whatsoever. We can't. But that's the holdup right there. Why the electricity has not been updated. Couple times Sarah's asked me to sign checks. Don't have a problem with it. But the only issue I have is if Linda is not in, I can't get into that office because I don't have a key. And Linda, when her and I spoke, she said that would have to be more or less voted on by the board. For me
Well,
to-
I don't have a key, so the
Oh,
board.
yeah, we
would
don't have one
to-
either.
No, I don't have a key.
Yes, I know that. I'm sorry, I
You
didn't
don't-
quite finish, but
What?
she didn't have an extra key.
I don't have an extra key
Extra.
to
You
your
have
office.
a key though.
She has
I
key,
have my
yeah.
key to your
So you
office.
could,
But if she's not in, I don't have access, and that's where the checks are for the men to be signed. So I'd like to do something about that, so that can't possibly happen again.
we don't need a motion for that. You can just-
Okay, all right. And like I said, we're just in a holding pattern right now with this electric, so Dig Safe says that we're all go. And that's where we stand at this point. And that's all I have at this time.
May I make a recommendation to you?
Yes.
If hazards are gonna do the digging, they're the ones that have to call in to dig safe ticket.
Well, they talked to him, I have a ticket, and
Why don't you guys talk after the,
I'll certainly speak with you, Sean.
thank you.
Thank you.
Does that complete your,
Yes, that completes.
thank you very much. Yeah, and you,
Okay.
for the record, Neil has my absolute permission to walk into that office and.
To sign the,
And sign
yeah,
checks.
to sign those checks. Okay, that was my only concern.
And any other?
Yeah, I got a couple of things, but I wanted to wait. Okay. Couple of quick things. On our desk, I'm going to introduce the two resolutions I have. I'm going to use Sarah's, I appreciate your direction in this. These resolutions are just to talk to us about coming up with bids for what a pond anywhere would look like and what fire hydrant installations would look like based upon a set of recommendations, okay? We'll talk about them next meeting, but I'm not dropping these idea of better safety. After seeing Howard Nair's house and Emmanuel Bila's barn
And I
and,
just rolled this, it's gonna be loud.
go ahead, and I'll just, go ahead. And Sean and Melissa's house, and now Donnie's house last week over on Stone Arabia, right on our border there. Do you know Donnie? England Road and Stone Arabia Road. He lost a house 2 Saturdays
No,
ago.
it's town of Minden, town of Mohawk.
It's just over the line,
Oh.
but just like 500 yards. So,
No.
but after seeing all that, we really, how we can help, we're going to investigate how we can help, and I'm gonna do my darndest to see if we can have some closure on this. And just for the record, when I did the idea of getting people interested in fire safety together was when Paul Dog made a comment in the public comment that why don't we get our own fire department if we didn't want to pay the contracts every year. So that's where I've gotten a keen interest in fire safety and spent some time with Chief Nestle, among others, to try to figure out what we can do to help the town. Getting back to the ethics board, I just wanted to say, when we all went to ethics training, it was best practices that someone from the council sit on the board. And that's from the Association of Towns, and it is in the Association of Towns handbook, and our law was out of compliance with that, and that's why we drafted that into the new law. Sandy, just to put your mind at ease, I want you to know that I have full confidence after speaking to the comptroller's office that I did not reveal any candid information. You'll find that out when the report is actually made public. And that's also in line with the State Attorney General's office, that there's been no confidential information passed out. So I just feel safe there. I appreciate that you're worried about that I might be in trouble, but I'm actually good there. I've been approached by a lot of residents about our last meeting. There seems to be some concern that there was some religious intolerance at our last meeting, that several of the audience and a council member picked on a group of people for their religious beliefs, and I just want to state for the record that maybe I didn't interject enough, and I feel kind of ashamed for not nipping it in the bud. But when we sit on this board, we represent everybody no matter what their religious affiliation is, and that I will stand up next time if there's one more, even an inkling of religious tolerance that I saw.
Will you say what happened?
Well, there was some really harsh criticism of our members of the Amish community.
For their religion?
That they don't pay taxes, that they do certain things, that they act a certain way, that they're not good members of the community, and I won't stand for that. We're one group, and I'm frankly disgusted by it. And when people actually look at our tape online, because Here We Go didn't publish that tape, but I have a copy, and it will be on YouTube. And when people see how people acted, it will be self-evident. And I'm just really sorry.
She wasn't here.
Okay? I'm just really sorry about it. And with that said, that's all I got.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Hank or Betty?
Yeah, I have 4 people that I'm gonna appoint to the Comprehensive Plan Committee, Steering Committee. Laura Lee Whitlock, Brian Sweet, Sean Patton, and Charlie Lasberg. Laura Lee is a former historian, Brian Sweet's our county legislator, and Sean Patton's a county employee, and Charlie Lasberg is a former highway superintendent.
Well, we just can't appoint, we have to, you're recommending us.
Right, I'm recommending them, and I believe it was okay with the steering committee, so. And I think them being on the committee, so.
Could those names please be reported, because I cannot
Laura Lee
understand that.
Whitlock, Charlie Vosberg, Brian Sweet. Who else?
John
Sean
Patton.
Patton.
Sean Cotton.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Betty?
No,
Any other comments? No?
I do.
Yeah.
Betty, I thought, more than cooperative, trying to keep you informed. You know, I've called you numerous times on different matters. Now I'm basically being accused of not communicating. I don't know how many times I called you or sent you these.
I didn't mention any names.
Okay, no, I didn't, excuse me.
Well,
I don't mean you in particular.
Oh.
You did not, no, you didn't make that accusation. But I just wanted to address that a little bit. I kind of felt, I went out of my way numerous times to contact everyone, you included.
Our communication policy demands that everybody is included, and you were sent this today. Everyone was sent all these
I didn't-
emails at the town of
I worked till 5
Palatine.
o'clock and I got.
Okay,
I
well then
rushed
don't
home.
say you haven't seen them
I
because
haven't
we,
seen them, I saw them when you gave them to me tonight at the meeting.
but we send you on townofpalatine.org, constantly send you emails. Everybody here knows you're looped in.
We mentioned earlier
Chris,
tonight
I
that I
didn't
had a
get
problem with my.
I did not send you the resolution, I sent them to the board and
Okay,
brought
all
them
right,
to you
I was just gonna
because,
say, I didn't get it if you sent it. to
no,
me.
but last time you didn't, you said you
Yeah.
don't check, so I said, okay, I'll just
Well,
send them to
yeah.
us and I'll make the copies,
Okay.
okay? But just so
Right,
you
well, I
know.
just didn't want you
No.
to think that I got it and I didn't.
No, the last time I,
Yeah, I know, last time I got a virus.
okay, so I'm just taking care of it, but.
Any other council comments? Okay, we need to do the seeker for, for resolution number 53 to adopt local law number 7. Um, Yes, okay. And thank you, Nancy, for preparing all of this for us. Okay, I'll just, we need to, is it true that we only need, okay, got it.
Before we go into it, what we were gonna do about this 400.
If you would like to make the motion, you
Okay.
can do the motion on the motions.
Okay.
All right. Let me just make sure I'm- Okay, so the project, this is the short environmental assessment form, part 1, which we go through together. The name of the project is Town of Palatine, creation of Town of Palatine zoning law. The brief description, the proposed project is to create the Town of Palatine zoning flood damage prevention law. Does the proposed action only involve the legislative adoption of a plan, local law, ordinance, administrative rule, or regulation? If yes, attach a narrative description. The answer here is yes, unless anybody disagrees. Okay, we can then, do we have to go through the whole thing for this one, for the part 1?
No, you sign the third page of seeker 1, but
Yeah.
seeker 2, you go through the whole process.
Okay, right, so if yes, we proceed to part 2. If no, we continue. The answer is yes, so we proceed to part 2, and I sign and date. Okay, moving to part 2. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
No.
And it's, by the way, no or small impact, not, and the other answer is moderate to large impact. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or a walkway?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies,
No.
B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? For example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Okay, that is it. I checked this box if you have determined, based on the information and analysis above and any supporting documentation, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse impacts. I can do that since we said no to everything. I then sign and date. And we're all set? I guess I need a motion for me to sign.
You need a referral to the county.
Okay, let's just, for the record, do the motion to authorize me to sign that we found that this project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and to authorize me to forward this to the county.
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? What is your vote?
I'm abstaining.
Yeah, you can vote on it, but you wouldn't vote at the county level. Okey-dokey.
Now, are we going to discuss the law?
Yeah, then we have to decide whether to pass the law or not.
On the recommendation of our planning board and setting through as liaison through the planning board meetings and the vast discussions that have taken place, I think we should go ahead and vote on this. I'm afraid we might be putting some of our residents in jeopardy if we don't go ahead. And of course, as we know, December 20th is the deadline for this. It has to go to the county and so forth yet. And therefore, I would kind of encourage it.
Okay, so you're making a motion to
I'll make
adopt
that
resolution
motion.
number
Yes, I will.
53.
Number
Second.
53.
Any second? Any discussion?
I'd like to discuss for just a moment.
Mhm.
And I preface my remarks as saying, because I can see the ads now, that I'm against the town getting FEMA aid, but let me say this about the law. This law actually will put residents that are in a 100-year floodplain be unable to make any improvements to their residences unless it's 2 foot above the 100-year median flood mark. Which means if someone down in Wagner's Hollow that's in the 100-year floodplain wants to add on to their house or add a garage or anything else, it would have to, and their existing property is under the 100-year floodplain, they would have to build a structure that is waterproof. It says waterproof in the law, or able to withstand 2 feet above the 100-year median flood mark. So in some cases, they would have to add 5 feet or 6 foot to a structure before they can have an inhabitable floor, because their living space needs to be above that flood mark. And I frankly think that that is an onerous regulation for the people that already have property. It's going to significantly impact their property, and it's going to severely affect their property values, that they can't build or can't add on. It also says if you want to put any structure that's not on wheels, so if you put a single wide, double wide, whatever, it has to be able to withstand the forces of floodwaters and be permanently anchored through a flood. Okay, which adds huge amount to the cost and may require retrofitting of existing structures to meet the new code. It also gives whoever we decide is the lead agency for this authority over the rules, recommendations, and there's fees attached to this. I really have a lot of misgivings that the residents that are affected within the 100-year floodplain are not here to actually give a lot of input. I think the way that the law was rushed through, and it's not us, it's the way that we were strong-armed by the state and FEMA to do this in less than 6 months, this process, that we could not adequately be able to vet this and be, the residents are affected. I doubt if anybody here knows if they're in zone A or AH or 1A, because the flood maps have also been changed, and things that were not in the 100-year flood zone are now in the 100-year flood zone. I intend to vote no on this law. It's not because I don't want our residents to get FEMA aid, because I think we're being strong-armed. If you want FEMA aid, you must have the law. But I think that it affects the rights of our residents that want to build within the 100-year floodplain. That's all I want to say about it.
Well, I'm not resisting anything you said, but I think it's a matter of something like a cost-benefit analysis. And the way it shakes out for me is, yeah, there's likely to be upcoming events because the weather in general isn't getting any better. So I think I'd come down on the side of having them have access to FEMA aid as opposed to making it more inconvenient to have improvements.
And I would also, like to add that we're talking about possibly building X number of feet higher to avoid, again, that's a safety issue.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I understand
It's-
completely.
It's
And
a
we
tough
do
shot,
have,
yes.
it also now requires that, since the new 100-year floodplain has changed, they're probably going to require everyone to have national flood insurance also for all these changes on the map.
No,
Not everyone. You think everyone?
Well, if you have a mortgage and you're now moved into,
in a flood zone, yes.
Flood
and
zone.
and you're now
Yeah.
moved into the new flood zone, you're going to have national flood insurance, which means that the FEMA aid is only for those who don't have national flood insurance or are not part of the flood insurance. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm stating my personal opinion, and it's just the way it is. And it has nothing to do with, I don't want people to get aid. It has to do with personal property rights.
Mhm, mhm. Understood.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. Okay, moving ahead to, now there were several additions to resolutions and motions. The next one is regarding resolution number 54 of 2017 to adopt local law number 6. This is yours to move,
Yeah,
to make that motion.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? I would just like to thank Hank and the Board of Ethics for working on this. This was very early in, let's see, early last year, we began looking into our ethics law, and it was clear that we were not in compliance and not following best practices according to the Association of Towns. There's a real misperception that the ethics board should serve as a watchdog to the town board. Anytime you have a board that is appointed by a body, they can't be the watchdog for that body, because that body will always choose people who are not going to out them for whatever bad behavior. And so it's just a misperception that that the Board of Ethics would be a watchdog to the town board. It's an appointed body. Its job is to make sure that there aren't conflicts of interest in town business. Whenever there were a conflict of interest that the Board of Ethics were looking at, for example, if it were looking at the behavior of you, Hank, then we would ask for you to remove yourself, and you would know to do that. Again, a quorum is 2 out of 3, and it is recommended by the Association of Towns that all Board of Ethics in any township in New York State include a town board member. So we're basically just following what we were told as best practice, and so thank you for moving this, I appreciate it. Is there any more discussion on this?
I think it's long overdue.
Sign it too.
Ready to call the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right.
Can I ask a question? When you sign the forms, do you sign them in January?
You can ask a question after